Hey, what's going on everybody? Welcome back to another Champions of the Content video. In today's video, I wanted to go over Heathcote, who's going to be the newest 5-star Thief Traveler that's going to come to the game. We know he's coming, we don't know exactly when, but it's going to be soon, so stay tuned for in-game announcements. So what's going on with Heathcote and what's his stats? So as you can see, he's got decent HP, decent SP, good attack. His defense is a little bit on the weaker side, but he makes up for it with crit and speed. So pretty average for a thief. They don't technically have the most bulk compared to some of the other jobs, but nonetheless, Heathcote isn't looking too bad. So what about his skills and passives? So the main selling point for Heathcote is that he is a shield breaker regardless of weakness. So as you can see on skill 3, it says 3 times daggers, single target, always reduces shield points. So what that means is that when you use this ability on a target, even if they're not weak to dagger, this is going to reduce their shield points. And you can also see he's got a 2 times wind AoE and a 2 times dagger AoE that's always going to reduce shield points. So, you know, this is pretty good utility, especially when it comes to bosses where you need that damage and you need that AoE shield point break, but maybe you just don't necessarily have a strong traveler in your roster who can meet that damage. But you always have somebody with Heathcote who can reduce those shield points, you know, no matter what, regardless of what the weaknesses are. And his 1-star passive is at the end of each turn, 20% chance to remove certain status ailments from self. In my opinion, not a very good passive, but you know, it possibly could come in handy down the road. And his 3-star passive is a self 20% damage up when attacking enemy's weakness. So when you have a boss or enemy that you're fighting, when their weakness is wind or dagger for him, you're going to get that 20% damage up buff, and you know it's going to really help you out in the long run. So how does he compare to VIOLA? So pretty similar stats across the board. VIOLA is a little bit faster, but not by too much, and their defenses are virtually the same. VIOLA has a little bit more attack, where Heathcote makes up for that in SP, and their HP is basically the same. So as we all know, VIOLA is the debuff queen, and that is where her utility really comes into play, whereas Heathcote, as we talked about, is a shield breaker regardless of weakness. They're two very different characters, but similar at the same time. They're both thieves, they have very similar stats, but their roles are extremely different. With the shield breaker versus debuff queen, they're different. There's not really any similarities with that, and bringing them both to a fight is gonna help you. Like, this is a pair of thieves, especially if you're going up against a boss that's weak against daggers, that these two combined are gonna make a great pair. VIOLA is gonna debuff, and Heathcote's gonna break those shields, and they kind of go hand in hand, so they would be a good match. But should you pull? The big question. I'm gonna say maybe on this one. Heathcote, he does have good things like being a shield breaker, both AoE and single target. If you're going to pull on his banner, just keep in mind that all of the 5 stars are on his banner except for Tressa. So if you're going for VIOLA or going for somebody else, you still have a chance at pulling them in addition to Heathcote. So, just look at your roster and weigh your options, see what you need. And if a shield breaker is something that you need at this time, if you're finding yourself running into issues with breaking shields on bosses and enemies, then yeah, consider pulling him. He could be a really good asset to your team. But again, with his being super similar to VIOLA, where I think VIOLA's utility is more important and relevant, and with his stats being so similar, it's just like, for me, I'm not gonna pull. I'm gonna save my rubies for something else completely. But he could come in handy for somebody else. And I think, again, this is just something that you just have to consider what you want. If you like his spread, if you like his backstory from the original game, then he's definitely something to consider pulling. So let me know in the comments down below. Do you plan on pulling for Heathcote? How's your game going so far? It's been out for a week now, and we've got lots more travelers to come, and we're just getting started with Heathcote. So thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for the support. My channel has gotten a lot of love this past week, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.